Well,
We are live. Hi, Patty.
hi.
You have a pink wall, and
I
I have a
do.
pink face.
I
Well, I don't
love
know if
it.
is that fuchsia? What color is that?
Yes. Yeah, I think that would be called fuchsia. It,
Is
it
it
has like
well,
it has a digital color to it. That's that I
ah,
know now. When I worked at Citigroup trademarked their color blue. So I feel like I'm gonna try. I
oh my
know, right?
God.
Or
You can do
copyrighted
that?
it, whatever you could. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, that was the height of, oh my God, we are way too much in our bullshit right now that we think we get to own a color on the color wheel. But I may try and, I don't know, copyright that.
Yeah, you should. I know when I worked at Fox Kids Network, we weren't allowed to use orange anywhere because that was Nickelodeon's domain. So if somebody ever brought in an ad with orange in it, they would be forcibly removed from the room. But anyway, we're here to talk with Patty. And I kind of promoted this as like, okay, I have a consigliere. And I've been leaning more and more into the whole, wise guy wisdom kind of thing, I guess I call it.
Mhm.
And I was totally psyched because I do these Italian quotes because I'm trying to learn Italian, like proverbs and wisdom and stuff from grandma and grandpa, who you know,
Mhm.
Lucido Bortone. And there's a guy who was a former mob boss who liked my Instagram. I'm like, awesome, a murderer liked my Instagram.
I love it. I
But he
love
was like
it.
a big boss in the 80s and 90s. And then after he got caught and went to prison for 10 years, he found Jesus. And now he's an online marketer. So I'm like, oh my God.
So good.
Everybody's coming online into this crazy world of ours. So,
By the way, Lou, I have to tell you, your grandfather just sat down next to me, and he's never done that. He's always been over with you, but he's over with me right now, and he poured me a shot of limoncello.
oh, that's nice of him because
Mhm.
it's so funny because he was like, very stern man and everybody was afraid of him. But I don't know. I felt like he had a soft place for me. And
He
I don't
does.
want to say I was his favorite out of 44 grandchildren or whatever the ridiculous number was. But anyway, yeah, he used to make wine in his basement in the big barrels. And I would go as I was like 6 or 7 years old, total wino, like steal it and like, woohoo. Like,
So good.
so that probably explains a lot of why my brain didn't fully form because I was drinking wine when I was 6 years old. But that's beside the point. So anyway, a consigliere, like in the tradition of Italian tradition, is, and in Godfather is like the counselor, oftentimes a lawyer or business person who is really in the organization, like the second most person. You don't do a thing without checking with the consigliere. That's why I always go to you and I call you my consigliere because you have such good counsel. And oh, somebody made a comment. Hold on, let me run over there. Oh, Debbie's here. Hi, Debbie.
Debbie.
Good to see you. Let me go back to my banners here and go back here. So, oh, cool. So thank you for being here. We're just doing a quick little informal live. We're going live to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube all at the same time. How cool is that? I finally got LinkedIn live. So here we are. And that's good because Patty is, I guess I would call you spiritual and woo-woo, but grounded in science and business and really very practical, which is what I like. And then it's so funny because every time I talk to Patty or work with Patty, money shows up. I swear to God, I just went to look for something in this, I don't even know what it's called, but it's some partner affiliate thing. And I looked in the account that I haven't looked in for like a long time, and there's $628 there that I wasn't expecting. So, woohoo!
Love it.
So, and as I said in an earlier video, Patty makes me money, and I like that because we like money. So, but really, the receiving school is really more about allowing stuff in and lowering your resistance. And I'm the biggest, as you know, the biggest resistor and the biggest stubborn person who like refuses to, do what you say. But now that I do, it's actually working out pretty well. If folks are here and don't know that much about receiving school, can you explain it briefly and kind of what it's all about?
Yes. Well, from a conceptual standpoint, I'll talk about the structure of it in a second, but just
Mhm.
to your point, when you talk to me and I give you what to do and you do it. The reason that works is there's a few components, and there are
Mhm.
components that we don't always understand. So, you have doors around you where money can come through, right? At any given time. And I can see the doors. And the reason I can see the doors is because I have no resistance. I love you. I've known Lou for years, but anytime someone comes through the receiving school, I can see their souls. It's a part of the process. And in seeing your soul, I can love you from that higher place. And once that love is present, resistance really completely drops away. And so when I talk to you, it's easy. I can see it like so clearly. And that's what the value of the coaching inside the receiving school is. The receiving school itself is a process that helps you fall in love with yourself that way. So
Mhm.
that's what we call receiving ourselves. It also teaches you how to see where you're blocking the doors, and that's receiving the outer world. So we've got receiving yourself, receiving the outer world, and then receiving spirit. And the end of the program is really about being able to hear the communication that comes through. And I think that's the place, Lou, where you can hear it until it comes out of my mouth. You usually just don't trust it, is my guess. But
Yeah, I like to say, we're our own worst enemies, and oftentimes we can't get out of our own way. So having something like receiving school, and for me, having a consigliere like Patty helps me, you know, get out of my own way. Sometimes I'm way too close to stuff. I think I mentioned the other day that idea that you gave me a while back about why don't you, do some Zoom interviews and then turn those into several videos. And, I kind of, put it back in my little mental file cabinet, and I'm like, oh yeah, that idea that Patty did, because honestly, I had to come up with a lot of cash in a very short amount of time, not because of a loan shark or anything, but just so I did. This was I probably underpriced it because it sold out in a week, but I said, I'll do 10 of these at $1,500, and I'll create 10 videos, at least 10 videos for each person based on their whatever. So that was like 15 grand in a week, which I've never done before. So thank you.
I love it.
I will
And
send you a spiritual commission.
thank you. This is my spiritual commission. You're letting me share with your community. And I think, that goes to the point of um where we create a lot of resistance is because we love others so much, and we're worried about them. And that's something for you, is just the way you love your clients and the way
Mhm.
you serve them. You just mentioned, oh, maybe I priced it too low. I don't know. I think you priced it perfectly, but that was, that's part of the journey. Is it's very it's a push pull, because a lot of us grow up wanting to take care of others and be givers.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, the more messages we get that that's what makes us good, that's actually what teaches us to resist receiving. And so we're talked out of it by the relationships in our life, by the messages we hear. And so the receiving school is really about reprogramming you to really bring yourself back into that balance where you can receive and you're out of resistance, which
Mhm.
sounds very esoteric, but I think you can affirm this, and Debbie's on, she can too. The actual practices are based on brain science.
Yeah.
So when I do talk to the other side of the veil, before I got to this woo place, I was a banker, and
Mhm.
then I got a master's in psychology. And so everything that's taught is taught in a very experiential way that's meant to actually rework your mind. It's
Mhm.
not just let's talk to the spirit world and let's see where the metaphysical doors to good stuff is. It's also you having sight now, and being
Yeah.
able to see it.
And
Yeah.
I love the process, because there are some courses where you say, oh my God, this is going to take so much time and be so much work, but it all really flows, and you're there every step of the way, and it feels like it's not overwhelming. It just kind of, just like I said in another call we had, trust the process, which, me, I'm stubborn. I don't want to do it. I don't want to trust anything, but it really worked. And I've been through it a few times, and I still see it just continues. As I said somewhere else, Patty's the gift that keeps on giving. So
Oh, Lou,
thanks.
I adore you.
Oh, thanks. And that's funny because you say about, wanting to serve people and wanting to be loved and accepted. And there's an old Machiavellian phrase that is it better to be feared or loved? And I always thought it was better to be feared. But I don't know. I mean, what's your take on that? Is it better to be feared or loved?
That's such a good question. So at the time that Machiavelli was, a thought leader, it would have been better to be feared because of the vibration on the planet. But we've actually been going through a slow ascension, and we're actually in a really high ascension year. That's why if you are listening and you're feeling this year was very like bumpy, like you thought you were getting on the carousel and you're actually on the tilt-a-whirl, it's because we are in a year of change, right? And so actually back then it would have been better to be feared because we were heavily oppressed by a much lower vibration where fear was 100% the power on the planet. And as we've been released from it, love is now the power. That's love always had power. It's always the stronger force. But when the majority of humans are holding the energy of fear, it's very challenging to lift with love because it takes one person at love to lift 20,000 people.
Wow.
Where we're at right now, that works. The numbers work. But back in Machiavellian days, probably the numbers didn't work that well.
Right.
They do now. So now I would say, the experience of being feared is the experience of resistance. It's someone like this to you, which then at least prevents you from getting attacked by them.
Yeah.
But the experience of love is non-resistance. And when you start to realize any attack that's out there is an illusion and it has no power of you, then you can become the art of war, where every force you use to your advantage, whether it comes as aggression or passivism or love, whatever it is, it works for your benefit.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
That's a new question. So that just came through. So
that's cool because I've always been fascinated by that Machiavellian sort of, in his time it was better to be feared. And then, however many 100 years later in A Bronx Tale, which is now like 20 years old, that was the question that
Isn't
the mob.
It more like 40? No. Okay. Maybe 20. I think a little bit more than 20 though, Lou.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, the character would, he would bring up those things, is it better to be feared or loved in terms of a kind of a mob situation? But that's a really, it's an interesting question. And I think growing up in where I grew up, it was better to be feared than loved too. But now, when you let down your guard, so like you say, it kind of flows. So having said that, tell us if you can, and it really has been a bumpy year. It's been I feel like it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back with COVID and politics and everything else. And I think, not the politics part, but just I think the world seems so uncertain. Do you have any sense of what we can look forward to or not in the rest of the year, or how we kind of gird ourselves against what's going on?
I can. And by the way, I just saw Debbie's comment that she could compete for Lou. I knew the woo part. Yeah. Debbie, you're so graceful in the process. I love it. So when I've looked out across the landscape, there was going to be a little bit of a pulling the plug on some of the tension we've been experiencing over this coming weekend. That's that's the mini relief. We're going to be in this sort of energetic chaos right through the end of the year, really. The first break in it is going to be December 21st, the winter equinox.
Right.
The winter equinox in the northern hemisphere anyway. But the thing that you can do, I think the key is what will help you navigate it. And what will help you navigate it is to release shoulds. So now more than ever, this actual chaos, what it's really doing for you is helping you understand where you make up rules for your life, where you make up requirements of what it means to be a good you.
Mhm.
And this is for you to like drop into your own wisdom, drop into what's right for you, and own that and take action on that and nothing else. If you do that, then it will be like a wave. If you're ever in, like, Blue and I live on the East Coast, so on the Atlantic Ocean, when the big waves are coming in, you don't try and jump over them, you go under them. And if you drop into your own wisdom and you're following what you know to be true for you, you'll see the waves happening, you'll feel that energy, but that won't be your experience of it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. I mean, sometimes I just like to go to Patty and say, "Can you just tell me whether or not everything's going to be okay?" Because right now it seems like it's complete madness.
And the reward, so there's always a reward for this kind of year. The reward is going to be a different level of freedom for yourself next year. You're
Mhm.
going to feel a much stronger level of harmony inside your own choices. You'll feel like you got, this very cleared out shower of your being.
Mhm.
So there's good
Yes.
stuff coming. Mhm.
Excellent. Good. So tell us one more time before we wrap up here. And I can tell you my own experience in receiving school, which is Patty's program that we're talking about, has been life changing. And I don't say that lightly because, when I first came to Patio, when we first sort of reconnected, I was a total mess. And it was right after my mom died. But everything really has been like the last few years has just been like, whoo, this is crazy. It's a little bit like a roller coaster ride, but in a fun way. So tell us what people can expect. And the link is down there, luboton.com/yes for the receiving school. Tell folks what they can expect if they're new to it and when they kind of just get into it. And I know from my experience, I, frankly was a little skeptical because I'm just a cynic by nature. But as soon as you trust the process and start going through it, it's like, holy crap, this stuff really works.
Yeah, it really is so magical. And I really say that humbly. Like, I do feel like I was gifted with, like, I was told, I got downloads of what to teach and stuff. So what you can expect when you come in is, first of all, I am highly intuitive. There's a lot of psychic information that's coming through in the live coaching calls that we have every week. But
Hmm.
you're starting the week each week with recorded trainings that are in small bite-sized pieces. So you get anywhere from 5 to 7 each week, and they're usually around 3 to 4 minutes long. And each one gives you something to do. And
Hmm.
the thing to do doesn't take a lot of time. It usually requires you approaching life in a different way. So, for example, um, we do a complaining detox the first week, which everyone loves. No one loves it. I'm kidding.
It
No one
was tough.
loves it. And so the question is always, well, there's bad stuff happening. If I can't complain, how do I talk about it? And the answer is you tell the truth about it. Now, I'm not going to get into what that means, but that's the kind of shifts we look to make, is to start to bring a lens to your life where you're holding resistance and you don't realize it. So you're going to go through the modules. There's 6 modules. We are together for 8 weeks, though. So you do have catch up after module 2. We have a catch up week. And then after module 4, we have a catch up week. It's a very intimate, vibrant community. People are so supportive of each other. And
Hmm.
what's really amazing, I think, and you can kind of affirm this, Lou, is that the way that our brains are structured, we do certain things for external acceptance. That's the reason you do most of your all of us do most of our problematic behavior, our dysfunctional behavior, is we're so wanting other people to approve of us, right? And that's something our lower brain, our amygdala, needs. And
Hmm.
that's not something you can deal with up here in, like, just conscious thought. When your brain is observing other people in the community doing something that it would consider scary, maybe saying no to a child that, needs to be said no to, or, letting go of a relationship, making an offer to your audience that feels courageous. When you watch someone else do that, it actually reprograms your brain for you. So you don't always have to go through doing the hard thing. you can actually change watching someone else go through it. And to me, that's the real power of the receiving school, is the communal learning.
Yeah. And it is a journey. I never really thought of it as a course. It's really much more of a progression and an evolution and a journey, which is really what I like about it. So even though I'm not that woo-woo. And then, yeah, the folks are amazing, and we've all stayed in touch, and which is great. And it's just something that I think everybody should do. I think everybody deserves to go through this process with you. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being here today. And I hope folks will join my spiritual consigliere, Patty, for the receiving school, which you can find at this little link down here. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Debbie.
Bye-bye.